So we should not take the pictures and we should not touch them. You should
Because
not.
it's like insulting to them, and also they feel like it captures their soul.
And if you're painting the Amish close up, you don't do faces on them.
Really?
You know,
No,
you do
no
everything
faces.
else, but the face part is blank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I just thought I'd warn you.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
And they'll
good,
be very
actually.
nice. They'll be very, very kind, but no, I
Okay.
just didn't want you to.
They
The
won't.
children are from heaven. They're very quiet.
They won't.
That they are disciplined.
They don't
Very.
run around.
They
and
don't know. They
things.
just.
Except every house, farm, has a children's area. They can scream and go up and down the slide and do things, you know.
Yeah, they have Amish schools around here,
Uh-huh.
and then the boys go to school until 8th grade.
And there's no
And the girls
churches.
too.
They hold services in the home, and sometimes there's 150 people from one area. They move the house, and the buggies with the wagons bring all the chairs and everything to their house, and that's where they have their worship services on
They might
Sunday.
have 150, 300 people in there.
And sometimes the weddings, they get 500, 600 plus, maybe 1,200 people. But they come from other Amish settlements in Iowa and up north by Ohio and so forth. But this is the largest settlement in Illinois.
So how they do the wedding?
That
They do
is-
in church.
That's a heavy
They go
door.
to the church.
Oh,
the Amish
thank
people?
you.
They don't have a church. They meet in their farm.
Farm?
Yes, and they sit on benches, no back. We were invited to a, they don't, do you know the word
Honey, all the
proselytize?
artwork in here.
They don't try to get you to be Amish. And so the children, they start being, hi there, welcome in.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
They go only to 8th grade level, and they stay on the farms, and their attrition is about 90% of the young people.
Yeah.
They learn how to rig the horse by the time they're 4 years old.
Yeah, I know.
And there's no driver's license, so you see some of the buggies have 8, 9-year-olds riding
And
them
main
down the
thing,
street here.
there is no pollution.
And that ladies and gentlemen are separate usually, except on Friday night and Saturday night. There is a period between the age of 16 and 19 that they don't have to obey all those rules, because that's the time they get to learn about the outside world a little bit. So there's some loose things there. The girls get to paint their toenails and so forth, but by the time they're 19, they have to decide if they're going to stay Amish or not. Then you have to obey the rules. The men, no mustaches are allowed.
Yeah, I saw that.
No beard is allowed until you're married. So you can tell who's single.
Yeah, like actually, last month I went to the Amish person,
Yes.
and he's doing some he used to sell the meat,
Yes,
and he don't have mustache, and he have only the beard.
yes.
I thought he's like a Muslim guy. Like,
He's
no,
married.
yeah.
He's married. They don't permit that. And the typical Amish hair comes forward, the men.
Yeah,
and
they
then-
will have.
It's like they put a bowl over their head and go, you know. But that's normal. But they have many children. And you know what range-fed chickens are? Range-fed chickens, they're always allowed to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's the children. They're range-fed here on the farm. And
Will they
they
use
don't
the-
have electricity,
Uh-huh.
so they have babies. And they have, some of the families have 10, 12, 15 children.
50 children in one family.
Oh yeah, sure.
By the
Sometimes
family.
more.
And will they use the
And
mobiles?
the girls are like up to 19. They get married at 18, 19, 20. And they're your size. And all of a sudden you get married. And they're...
Really?
And
I have a question. Like, will they use the mobiles, like mobiles and something?
only
Smartphones.
if they're in business. There is when you drive by the Amish farm, you will see a little place. We used to call them outhouses for going to the bathroom, you know, because there was no plumbing in the apartments. These are telephone booths,
Yeah.
and you can call them and leave a message. And they have to go out to this little, it's not allowed in the house, they don't allow that sort of thing. you get permission from the bishop if you're in business, and you can. They allow them to have cell phones if they're in business. It depends. There's about 150 families in each region here. Each region has a bishop that makes the rules for that group. Now, some of these bishops are up to 80, 90 years old with white beards. They're the stricter ones, and they're dying out. And as far as farming, they still, I know many of them that their children have left the Amish, but they come to visit them, and they make them park around the back behind the barn and not in the front. And anyway, the young people can, I live right along here, and Saturday night they can go out. But the boys go on one buggy and the girls go on the other buggy.
Why Saturday
Yeah.
and Sundays like?
Well-
why they're not like?
Because there's a lot, they don't public to do any touching and things like that.
Okay.
But
They have-
if they're, but they have, you know what a boombox is? You know what a boombox?
No.
And some of the guys, even now, in any city, they put all this electronic equipment in their car, and they can, you hear rap music when the car is going down the street and everything. Well, some of the buggies go by on Saturday night. And these are the ones that are like 17, 18, they still have it. And I hear a boombox playing. They have a little battery inside the buggy. And so they get away with it a little bit. And so they have dates on Saturday night in groups.
That's good. You get a lot of information about Amish people. That's a lot.
I made friends with them. I got invited to a wedding, and you usually get invited to Amish weddings.
Yeah.
And it was very special. It went on from 9 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night.
Is there Amish people like the worship any god like the Jesus or something?
I didn't understand it.
Will they do the worship for the Jesus? The
Worship.
Amish?
A worship? Oh yes. Oh yes. Their theology is basically it's very sound theology, but they are basically Old Testament, and they are very true to their faith. There are some of them that I see going in the bar once in a while down here in the back door. Occasionally you'll see some of the men smoking, and that really is frowned upon. So, you know, it's like in any...
And will they do drink and smoking? Everything?
they don't drink alcoholic beverages, but they do. You know, there are stories and so forth anytime. But, you know, most of the religious organizations, after 200 years or so, they start to dissipate, you know. And they've hung in there. The children still love. That's all they know is the farming. And so they have 90 or 91% of the children after 19 stay
Yeah.
on the farm. And they know everything about building, growing, anything you'd want to know. But if you are creative or an artistic person and want to further you will leave the Amish church, and generally they become what we call locally here. We have the Amish, and then the next step is the Mennonites, and they drive cars. They have cell phones. They're in business, and they make money on the Amish, because if the Amish has to go to a hospital someplace else, they have buses and they drive them there and back and charge them. a
But
small
they
fee.
won't use the cars, right? The Amish. Will they use the cars?
Do they use the cars?
Yeah.
Oh, Mennonites do. They all drive. Almost all Mennonites. And they can go on to school too, the Mennonites. They get degrees and so forth. But not the Amish. They don't go beyond 8th grade. They speak what they call High German.
They can speak German?
They originally came out of Germany, I think. They're German, pure German, they don't quite understand sometimes, but it's very related. They sing in German
Yeah.
in their services, and they speak German at home to the children. They speak Amish,
Yeah.
which is a little different, but you can. That's the end of my class.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank
Help
you.
yourself there. That's a blessing bowl.
Really?
Take whatever you want.
Yep.
Thank you.
And keep your sugar content.
ఒకటే తీసుకో